This is a video response to USDA. He found an old cookbook in a wall and was wondering about an oven canning method that's described in that book. Yeah, they had that method at one time, but they found that it was a dangerous method to use. That cookbook is from a time period when canning got its bad name. Back, if you look through the old cookbooks, say like in the 1800s, people back then actually understood more than we give them credit for. Those old cookbooks, they were basically only water bath canning high acid foods. They didn't try to can meats or vegetables. Occasionally you would see them give instructions for canning peas, maybe. But for the most part, they were just canning high acid foods. And then when you got closer to the 1900s, that's when they started getting a little more bold. They discovered that they could pressure can things, and that's when the methods came about for water bathing things for long periods of time. At one time they would water bath, say, green beans for 3 hours at a time. And that's where, you know, whenever you talk about canning to people that don't can, they have this fear in their eyes, and it's because of this period of time when they were doing things like water bathing for long periods of time, or oven canning. And I'll read to you what a book that I have says about the oven canning. This is from Putting Food By, and it's describing dangerous canning methods. And it says, no to old oven canning or microwaving. It says, the folklore of homemaking has another bad method that continues to surface, trying to process foods by baking them. Please look back at how heat penetrates a container of food early in this chapter. Dry heat just plain cannot produce the same effect as boiling water, either at atmospheric pressure or under pressure can. In addition to the danger of inadequate processing, there is also the likelihood that a jar of food will burst in your face as you open the oven door. So, and at one time, when microwaves first came out, a maker of a microwave oven claimed that you could can in it, and that they put an end to that too. But I ran across, there's an article on the internet, and I'll put a link to this in the description box, that I think is very interesting. I'm sure most people won't, but it covers the history of canning as it applies to the USDA. And it says here in 1944, oven canning was labeled dangerous due to ineffective sterilization and serious accidents. Open kettle method was another one that they found was dangerous. But this was, I thought, was interesting. It covers the different methods of canning, and they also have the different time requirements that they used for different foods and everything that you could compare everything to. And at one point they found that the times that they were using was actually twice as long as what was necessary, and they cut back a lot of the time recommendations. And another thing that I thought was interesting in this article is a lot of the methods that we use today are based on methods that the Ball Canning Company found to be safe and reliable, and they only used like a trial and error method, and that's the way a lot of this has come about. And then in the 1940s, the USDA did some research from 44 to 46, and the majority of our canning practices today are based on the research that was done in the 40s. I mean, you would think that things were more up to date than that. And they've done actually very little research on canning since the 40s. But it's all in this article, and like I said, I thought it was very interesting, and I'll put a link in the description box. Oh, one more problem with the oven canning is that the jars aren't designed to be used in an oven. And this is from Ball, the Big Ball book. On page 414, they say, while canning jars are designed to withstand high temperatures in moist environments, such as those in a canner, they are not suitable for use in the dry heat of an oven. In an oven, glass jars heat unevenly, creating hot and cold spots. When they are transferred to a work surface or filled with food, the clash of temperatures can lead to breakage. Unlike Pyrex utensils, canning jars are not manufactured to withstand extreme or sudden temperature changes. Pouring very hot liquid into a cool or room temperature jar can cause thermal shock, which weakens jars and cause the bottom to break out. To prevent breakage, always pour hot food into hot jars. So that's another problem with the oven canning, is that the jars aren't designed for dry heat. And I know that a lot of people are starting to use their ovens to heat their jars in them, but it really is not recommended by the Ball Canning Company, and they're the ones that make the jars. And if you go down to the section equipment and its management, they have a whole section there about oven canning. And steam canning was another method that has been kicked to the curb, and open kettle canning, and a few others in this book. Let's see, open kettle, canning in a dishwasher. People have tried that. You're not supposed to do that either. And canning in a crock pot, and canning in a compost heap. You're not supposed to do that either. And you're also not supposed to use canning pills. Some people will do that. They'll add it to corn to can to shorten the processing time. They say it's basically aspirin that you're adding to the corn, and you're not supposed to do it. They said it doesn't really make any. It's not really effective not to do that either. So there's a little information for you. I hope you found it as interesting as I did, and I hope it helps.